What we're going to do now is move into the public hearing portion of Bill 1303. I do have, was handed this by Mrs. Morris, a sign-up sheet. So what we're going to do is work from this sheet first, since these individuals took the opportunity to sign in, and then we will open it up to the general public. Ms. Price has the timer. Same ground rules apply as we normally go through with public hearings. 3 minutes if you're representing yourself, 5 minutes if you're representing a business or body. And please give us your name and address when you come to the table. We'll start with Ms. Patty Quimby. I'm sorry, Patty Quimby.
I'll be quick.
Sure. Take your time.
Good afternoon. My name is Patty Quimby. I'm representing Talbot County Animal Control today. And I come to you to express appreciation and encouragement for the Council's proposed allocation. Animal control is in place as a component of public safety. Our officers pick up stray animals from the streets, investigate criminal acts of cruelty and neglect, handle dog bite complaints, enforce the county ordinance, and many more issues during a 40-hour-plus work week. They are on duty after hours for injured pets and police assistance 365 days a year. Shelter staff provides compassionate care to the animals that come through our front doors, to the citizens missing their pets, and the animals that are often left in need of specialized care due to neglect and mistreatment. This is also a 365-day-a-year job. The proposed allocation to Talbot County Animal Control shows that this council not only appreciates the services provided by our agency, but you have an understanding of how important these services are to the residents of our wonderful county. By allocating appropriate funding for the contracted service of animal control, Talbot County allows the mission of Talbot Humane to continue to move forward. The programs and services provided by our nonprofit side, which are solely funded by donations, grants, and gifts, will do more, serve more, and improve the lives of the citizens and pets of Talbot County. In closing, I wish to thank you for your time, your attention to our requests, and I look forward to sharing the positive work of Talbot County Animal Control and Talbot Humane with you in the next fiscal year.
Excuse me, Tom Alsbach, a member of Talbot Reservation Alliance, but I'm also testifying as a taxpayer, and I won't take 5 minutes. I want to note that, and it was depicted in the chart up here, that this council has to work within a major financial constraint based on the fact that we have such low tax rates in this community, lowest in the state on property, next lowest on income tax. I would just say as an aside that one thing you might note as well, that one of the reasons we've been able to maintain these low tax rates is that if you compare our community to those who have much higher tax rates, they are the much more intensely developed, highly congested communities on the Western Shore. And this council and councils before should be commended for maintaining the rural environment we have here that has helped us to keep our tax rates where they are. We don't have the financial pressure that congestion and development brings to other communities in the state. Having said that, TPA put in a request for some consideration on one project, a ditch remediation project. But primarily here, I'm here to commend the council for pulling together a budget that I know has required compromise on everyone's part. I think it's a very responsible budget. During the fall campaign, we endorsed members of the council who are running again on the fiscal responsibility they displayed during their first 4 years in the council, prior years in the council. It appears this new council is carrying through in the same fashion and looking very responsibly at how to divide up money when we don't have enough money to reach the goals that everyone individually would like to have you reach. Understand compromises have to be made. So please continue to exercise your very careful judgment in that regard. Thank you for the efforts you put into this. And again, I think the community needs to commend you for the effort you've made to try to fairly distribute the limited revenues, unfortunately limited revenues that we have to distribute. So that's all I have to say. Thank you. Not asking for anything else.
Good seeing you again.
Thank you.
President Pack and members of the council, thank you so much for having me before you and for your support of Delmarva Community Services. We believe you have treated us very fairly this year and in the past years, and I came to thank you first of all, but I also wanted to ask that in the future we will come back to you about the one-stop service center, because we really feel it's a very important issue, especially to a community that's growing, that has an increase of senior citizens, and it really will put us in an office in Talbot County. And we've been talking about this for a few years. We do have a temporary office that we kind of share with Benedictines.
Field Drive.
Right, so that's pretty temporary. But other than that, everything you've done for us is greatly appreciated. We hope that we will continue to provide good service to your community, especially the seniors. We have a lot of increase in returning veterans who are also using our service now and their families. And in the future, we can do nothing but grow public transportation in Talbot County. So again, I thank you for your support. But one thing to think about is having an office here for a one-stop service where we can be on the ground and deal with customer service immediately versus phone calls have to go from one office to another, and sometimes it gets a little lost in translation. So, but we really do appreciate the support you've given us, and thank you so much.
I look forward to those continued conversations. Neil, let's see you.
Good to see you. Good afternoon, and I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak with you again on behalf of the Neighborhood Service Center. I'm Marilyn Neal, the Executive Director, and Ms. Nelson is Finance. I just wanted to share with you some new items that will begin on January 1 for our shelter, since you mainly fund our shelter. Clients will be required to have a savings account. This is a new requirement for the state, so I'm excited about that. Also, we will work with them on a sliding pay scale. Staff will continue to assist clients with the use of computers and employment opportunities. Over the last year, 10 clients moved into self-sufficiency. We had the staff reach out last week. We were able to reach 8 of those clients. So I think that says a lot about moving someone from homelessness and keeping them in self-sufficiency. And I think Nelson might want to speak a little bit about a change in funding since we met with you back in February.
We have level funding request, $72,126, and it's the same funding for 2014, 15, and 16. 90% of that is for 2 full-time shelter supervisors, and the other 10% is a portion of the shelter utilities and some meal cost. We are running short as far as covering the salaries and benefits for a part-time shelter employee from another grant, which is the Emergency Services Grant. We requested a total of $60,000, which was covering 2 part-time shelter employees and 1 part-time shelter relief employee, and some of our maintenance and operations. And they awarded us $41,582. So what that relates to is $18,000 and change differential, and at this point we are not able to hire a part-time shelter employee because of that reduction. And we had talked about that when we were here before.
Anything further?
Pardon?
Anything further?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I would just like to reiterate that without your support, our shelter doors probably wouldn't be open.
Good afternoon. My name is Ted Doyle. I represent the Talbot County Taxpayers Association. Mr. President, Council, we've evaluated the budget as proposed, and we support it as you've proposed it. We agree that public safety should be the priority. We know that the budget keeps property tax increase within the county's charter tax cap, and that there is no increase in income tax rate. So taxpayers appreciate that. We appreciate that it is difficult, although necessary, to maintain education spending at the state-mandated maintenance of effort level as proposed. As an aside, we watched the Board of Education debate and approve this budget request. One of the new members suggested that they make an effort to reduce the request, recognizing the county's budget realities. Wasn't this their responsibility after all? That member was quickly told that they would not do that. Any cuts would be the responsibility of the county council. Talk about passing the buck. The problem now is that the schools will have to make the cuts in a hurried fashion before the year begins. To really make progress on improving spending priorities and reducing costs takes time and forethought in looking at priorities and alternatives. This cannot be done now. So the easy things will be to cut, such as teacher salaries and benefit increases and new important programs. I was looking around the rest of the state, and Talbot County is not alone in this regard. Even Montgomery County has proposed a budget that maintains the maintenance of effort level and not increase, even though historically they've been big spenders in education. The problem with maintenance of effort is that once it increases the education budget, the county is stuck with that amount. It cannot reduce its spending even though future priorities may change. Any waiver is virtually out of the question, since the waiver request process is weighted heavily against them being granted. They must be approved by the educational establishment. This is not necessarily an objective group. It is important to look to priorities not only across the current budget, but across time. I think by reading into things that have been said and quotes made, you're looking at the future as well. Spending is not going to stay with the same priorities. It's going to change. You've noted building pressure in the individual departments with ever-increasing budget requests that you've had to deal with. Public safety problems will continue well into the future. Not just the ones you're trying to deal with right now, but there's others. And you're aware of that. But one of the things that bothers the Taxpayers Association is how long can we expect to maintain all volunteer fire departments in our community at every one of those houses? They're having terrible problems trying to recruit new firefighters. We find that many of the new people who come to the county, work in the county, are living outside the county. Housing is a problem for people who are the type that would volunteer for the fire department or have the time to do it. So volunteer fire departments are having terrible times staffing trucks just to get out of the house. So I see a time coming very quickly that we may have to supplement our volunteers with paid firefighters. That is not going to be cheap. So I think looking to the future to understand that is very important, and maintaining caps on where you can is critically important, so you're ready to deal with this when the future comes. So we thank you for your effort and appreciate the budget you proposed.
Thank you, Mr. Dolan. Good seeing you again.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, that being said, this portion of this public hearing session will come to a conclusion. The public hearing will continue on this evening at 7 p.m. We're going to pick things back up over at the Easton High School cafeteria at 723 Mecklenburg Avenue here in Easton to have the second part of the council's public hearing on Bill 1303.